Have you ever spent hours memorizing something only to forget it the next day? A formula, a list of words, even notes for an exam, all gone. You wonder, why am I so bad at remembering?
I've been there. You study hard, highlight pages, and cram until your eyes hurt. But somehow, when it matters most, your brain just blanks. Here's the shocking truth. Most memory techniques you're using are broken. They don't match how your brain actually works. But there's a smarter way. Japanese students, some of the most disciplined learners in the world, memorize massive amounts of information without stress. And you can too.
In the next few minutes, I'll show you simple, science-backed study hacks that boost memory instantly, make learning stick, and actually make it enjoyable.
If you apply even one of these today, your recall will improve faster than you think, and you'll stop wasting hours on methods that don't work.
Have you ever spent hours trying to memorize something only to forget it the next day? Maybe it's a formula, a list of vocabulary words, or even notes for an important exam. You work hard, you focus, but it feels like your brain just won't cooperate.
I've been there too. I used to cram for hours, thinking more time meant better memory. But somehow, I'd still blank out when it mattered most. And here's the thing. It's not just you. Most people struggle because they're using memory strategies that aren't optimized for how our brains actually work. Today, I want to show you something different. Study hacks inspired by Japanese students, the ones who consistently memorize massive amounts of information without stress. By the end of this video, you'll know practical, science-backed methods to boost your memory instantly, make learning stick, and even enjoy the process.
These aren't gimmicks. They're simple tweaks you can start using today. One of the biggest mistakes I made was passive studying. I'd read a chapter, highlight a few lines, and assume it would stick. But it rarely did.
Japanese students use something called active recall, by which I mean instead of just reviewing, they actively test themselves on the material.
For example, if you're learning a biology chapter, don't just reread the definitions. Close the book and try to write down everything you remember. Or ask yourself questions like, what are the steps of cellular respiration?
The act of retrieving information strengthens your memory far more than rereading ever will. Think of it like a mental workout. The more you lift information, the stronger your memory becomes.
I remember a Japanese friend studying for her exams. She would take flashcards and quiz herself every morning before breakfast. Not only did she remember more, but she also felt confident walking into the exam instead of stressed.
The trap here is frustration. At first, you might feel like you're forgetting everything. That's normal. That struggle is exactly what makes your memory stronger. Don't give up too soon.
Next is a method that's become really popular worldwide, spaced repetition. The principle is simple. You review information at strategically spaced intervals. The first review might be a few hours after learning, the next after a day, then a few days later, and so on. Why it works? Our brains forget fast. But if you remind yourself of information right before you forget it, it moves from short-term to long-term memory.
In Japan, students preparing for major exams often use apps or traditional flashcards organized by spaced intervals. One of my friends reviewed 50 words every morning for a week. By the 8th day, she barely needed to look at them.
The biggest mistake is inconsistency. Spaced repetition only works if you follow the schedule. Skipping days defeats the purpose. Even 10-15 minutes a day can make a huge difference. Another powerful hack is teaching what you've learned. Here's how it works. After studying a topic, explain it as if you're teaching it to someone else, a friend, a sibling, or even an imaginary student.
If you can explain it simply, you truly understand. If you struggle, it shows you where the gaps are. Japanese students use this regularly. They explain math problems or science concepts to classmates in study groups, refining their understanding as they go. I tried this myself with history notes. I pretended I was teaching a class about World War II. Suddenly, the events and dates stuck in my mind because I had to put them in my own words instead of just memorizing blindly.
The key is honesty. Don't just parrot what you read. You need to actually simplify and explain. Otherwise, you're not really learning.
Memory isn't just about repetition, it's about context. Japanese students often use visual aids and stories to remember complex information.
Instead of memorizing a list of words by rote, you might create a mental image or story linking the words together, or color code notes to match concepts.
Finally, Japanese students avoid marathon study sessions. They study in short, focused bursts, 25 to 50 minutes, with short breaks in between. This keeps your brain fresh, reduces fatigue, and improves retention.
Here's my challenge for you. Pick just one method and try it today. Even a small step can make a difference. Remember, it's not about cramming more, it's about learning better. Start today and see the difference for yourself.